long ago, I shared with our congregation that was on the mailing list from Eileen Lindner's book, where she shares with us the gift of her son, who works as a volunteer with emergency medical, as an emergency medical technician, EMT. And she talked about what happens when there's head trauma and how we assess that. She said one of the first things an EMT learns is to assess head trauma. And with the proper assessment, when someone has been injured, the extent of their injury and their symptoms can be quickly summarized. The EMT can then report to the doctor or nurse at the emergency room door that the patient is, for example, alert and conscious times 4. What it means to any medical person is that the patient is alert, that is awake and conscious. Times 4 means, in this order: 1, that the person knows who they are. 2, the person knows where they are. 3, the person knows what time it is. And 4, the person knows what just happened. I stated in the message that although this comes from the EMT world, the insight can apply to each of us, because I think each of us has experienced trauma in some sense, just by living in this world and having to deal with all the difficulties, all the pain, all the destructiveness. We have been injured by national rhetoric and actions, and perhaps by local failures. Regardless of our station in life, we know that we have been injured by contradictions to what residents of the nation have been told and promised and what has been delivered. We've been traumatized by political, social, and cultural order, especially in terms of our relationships with each other. So the question of, number 1, who we are is fundamental to our sense of identity, our place in the universe and community, our connections, values, destinations, and horizons. For many children, if you ask them who are you, they will answer with their name and maybe their age, maybe their parents. They might tell you what they like to do if you really probe them what they want to be when they grow up. In high school, one's asked the name of the school being attended. For me, it was, I go to Lincoln High. It teaches the level of identity. It reaches the level of identity so emotionally that with high school, college, and some are sports teams, but when they are defeated by another school or sports team, it's like they've been personally assaulted. I remember years ago when the Raiders, I think somebody won a championship last year, it wasn't. They torched part of Oakland. I mean, you remember the incident of the person from San Francisco who went to the Dodgers game and was assaulted. So this identity with these kinds of entities can really be deep within one's soul. For the spiritual person, whose life is bound to a calling, that person is farther down the road, above or below these understandings of self. Because religion means to be bound to that beyond us, connected to that that is higher, lower, deeper, more comprehensive, more all-pervading than we are. So it's the binding of our personal selves to a larger self. And both Dr. Howard Thurman and Dr. Dietrich Bonhoeffer powerfully explore this mutuality between self and the larger self. And we'll return to them a little bit later in the message. Who am I, or who are we? It's a question that resists final definitions at the places we are, in the states we are in life. Because we are not final yet. We're not final in our living. Part of who we are has to do with all that we have experienced. I think not too long ago, Brian asked of those people in your life who test you. They are part of who you are. The experiences you've had are part of who you are, who we are. So we're not final yet in our definition of who we are. Because we're still alive, we're experiencing, even now. We've experienced something within the last hour. We have met people we didn't know before within the last hour. We've heard music, we've heard prayers, we've heard readings within the last hour. So we're different even now than we were an hour ago. So we continue to experience, continue to add to who we are. And who we are includes those memories, as I said, and each day adds memories. So we have memories today that we didn't have yesterday because, again, of what has happened. So who we are is never finished. One of Father Richard Rohr's daily meditations illumined the question. He featured author and Buddhist scholar Tara Brach. A world placed before me brought understanding that our true nature is loving awareness. Brach says, increasingly over the years, my trust in this loving awareness as the essence of who we all are has become a guiding light. No matter how wrong or lacking we may feel, how caught in separation or how trapped by the messages, violations, and inequities of the society we live in, this basic goodness remains the essence of our being. In other words, there is a way out. When inundated with messages that confuse and belittle our existence, this message does not gloss over our predicament, what this person is saying, the wrongs, the separation, the violations, the inequities. But those things do not destroy this essence that is within us. That is like our DNA. This essence of our being is not destroyed. It is there when all else fades. And then the person tells a beautiful story during the mid-1950s in Bangkok, Thailand, where the person says there's a huge statue of the Buddha and began to crack due to the heat and drought. And so some monks went to see it out there to see what they could do. And when they started to investigate, they shined a light into the largest of the cracks. And what they saw surprised everyone. Deep under the gray clay was the gleam of gold. No one had known that inside this pauper but ordinary looking statue was a solid gold Buddha. As it turns out, the statue had been covered with plaster and clay 600 years earlier to protect it from invading armies. Although all the monks who lived in the monastery at that time had been killed in the attack, great stratagem for deceiving the enemy and preserving the golden Buddha, we have to be careful because there is a difference when deception covers our real self, the true identity, the authentic self. That was not deception among the amongst themselves. But the danger of deceiving is to become a deception. As Lindner says, deception tends not to be stationary, but moves steadily into the core of the self, to its altar, a detour on the road to authenticity. Some of you may recall that great poem, We Wear the Mask. So often we do. And something that mask covers over our authentic selves, who we really are, the pain and the hope. So just as a monk disguises the beauty of the golden Buddha in order to protect it during dangerous times, this writer says, we cover our own innate purity and goodness as we encounter the challenging world. As children, many of us are criticized, ignored, misunderstood, or abused, leading us to doubt that gold within us. As we grow up, we increasingly internalize the judgments and values of our society, further losing touch with our innocence, our creativity, and our tender hearts. We cover over the gold as we seek the approval of others, looking to them to measure our worth, to determine whether we are good enough, smart enough, successful enough. That's what the author said. We do. We allow others to define us, to tell us who we are, who we should be, what we should like, how we should think. So the author is aware of the treachery of copyright, believing as Lindner does that the contradictions of life are neither final nor ultimate, but affirms the loving presence of the holy as indestructible. It's in us, the holy. Even though the light may be hidden, it is still there. Underneath our lives, with all our lives' difficulties, complications, threats, indestructible gold keeps watch. The author says, adding layer after layer to protect ourselves, we become identified with our coverings, what we call our security, the materialism, whatever it is that gives us meaning, that covers our true selves, our true identity. And in this we believe ourselves to be separate, threatened, and deficient. Yet even when we cannot see the gold, the light and love of our true nature cannot be dimmed, tarnished, or erased. It calls us daily through our longing for connection, our urge to understand reality, our delight in beauty, our natural desire to help others. Our deepest intuition is that there is something beyond our habitual story of a separate and isolated self, something vast, mysterious, and sacred. So I think it is our constant struggle to make sense of the garbage of life that often deprives us of the possibility of composted resurrection into a new life and usefulness. Even though the gold of our true nature can be buried beneath fear, uncertainty, and confusion, the more you trust this loving presence, this essence as the truth of who you are, the more fully you will call it forth in yourself and in all those you touch. In our communities, as we humans increasingly remember that gold, we will treat each other and all beings with a growing reverence and love. In Dr. Howard Thurman's book, Distance of the Spirit, he talks about the question of who I am is the essential question, the first question that we must deal with when we're talking about commitment. Commitment to life, commitment to that higher power, commitment to the obligated places. The first question we must ask is, who am I? The passage read by Dr. Martin Allen talks about how do we synthesize our disparate selves into a life capable of yielding itself to the old stuff, to God, or whatever you want to call that self. But one of the essential questions when you raise the question of who am I, the question that goes along with that is whose am I? So how do we find a center? So many things going on in our lives. How do we find a center from Christian operate? For we only become human in human situations. We are community beings. We're in community. And we seek to strive to become communal beings, connected to the infinite web of life. What do I mean by that? We seek to become communal in the sense of being concerned absolutely with each other, with what is happening, is to be aware of the needs of individuals in our community, to be there for them, to be compassionate, to be understanding, to be a person they can count on, to listen. That's what I mean by being community, to be brought together as something like a family, to work together, to love together. So we need the company of others to fully answer the question of who we are. Moving through this, this is insight determines that where it uses a biblical story. You might have heard of the madman in the Bible who lived in the tombs, and they would bind him and he would break the chains and so on. His community considered him insane and extremely dangerous. Rather than have him live in their community and run amok with his crazies and townsfolk, had bound him in chains and cut him off from any meaningful contact with him, including his homies. Security laid and chained him to rocks. But with the strength of outrage in his political body, he would often break the chains. Living in the tombs was the abode suited for him, he said, not to live among the people in the community, not to live in my neighborhood, they declared. Certainly, they had to protect the women and the children. But when Jesus arrived and approached him, he cried out to Jesus not to torture him. Leave me alone. For Jesus asked the question of him, as we are asking ourselves today, what is your name? Who are you? Now, you should say with this passion that the first thing is, what is your name? You connect with your family. But I realize not all people have good family relationships. But who are you? With all of the things that are going on in life, all of the challenges, all of the betrayals, all of the misfortunes, who are you? And he answered with an agonizing cry, my name is Legion. Can I understand what it means? I don't know who I am. There are so many cells whirring within. I cannot figure out my true self. But there's another dimension to the name Legion. It comes from the Roman legion that was occupying the people of Israel. So does this also mean I don't know who I am because there's always an occupying reality telling me who I am? Subjugating me to an inferior status, saying that I don't count, I'm not valued, I'm not right as a human being, I'm very forced as a human being. There's certain rights I cannot have, certain places I cannot live, certain jobs I can't have. So he was dealing with all of this, as well as the complacency of his community to accept all that was happening to them. So his question, his confusion was, do I become a revolutionary? Do I just try to find a place for myself and get it on? Do I ritualize my isolation? These are all the thoughts that are going on in his mind. Who am I? And Jesus says the question, what is your name? Who are you really? Which became liberating for him. He have to go within himself and try to find out who he really was. And when he did that, when he made his assessment of himself, he became whole. He was healed. This question led him to looking at himself, examining himself, and looking at all the forces that were impinging upon him. And he realized now, he was more than those forces. He was connected to something beyond those forces. There was something in him that was part of the great nature of being, the web of life, God, the universe, the cosmos. Jesus glimpsed the hidden gold under the debris so that the gold gleamed again. Imprisoned by his commitment to end Hitler's oppression and Nazism, religion, Bonhoeffer raised the question himself. A beautiful and powerful poem entitled, Who Am I? Facing death, he was still fully committed to see what he in prison. He wrote the poem below. Who am I? They tell me I step out of my cell, composed, contented, and sure, like a lord from this manor. Who am I? They often tell me I speak with my jailers, frankly, familiar and firm, as though I was in command. Who am I? They also tell me I bear the days of hardship, unconcerned news and crowd, like one who usually wins. Am I really what others tell me? Or am I only what I myself know of me? Troubled, homesick, ill, like a bird in a cage, gasping for breath, as though one strangled me, hungering for colorful forest of songs of birds, thirsting for kind words for human company, quivering with anger at despotism and petty insults, anxiously waiting for great events, helplessly worried about friends far away, empty and tired, prey of thinking and working, exhausted and ready to bid farewell to it all. Who am I? This or the other? And then this today and the other tomorrow? Am I this? Am I again this today and the other tomorrow? Am I at the same time? Both. In public, a private, in public, a hypocrite, and by myself, a contemptible, whining weaker. Or am I to myself like a beaten army, flying in disorder from a victory already won? Who am I? Lonely questions mock me. Who You know me.